I'm going to walk you through the entire process of being an egg donor and egg donation, start to finish. Number one, you apply to an agency online. Sometimes this application alone can take like 30 minutes to an hour. Then they accept you. Then you move forward with a call, usually within 1 week of completing that application. Sometimes it's possible that you can get on the phone with them literally the next day. I say the sooner the better because it is kind of a lengthy process. Then, after that call, as long as there's nothing that disqualifies you, they're going to want you to immediately get your AMH levels tested. What that does is tell you how much you have in like your ovarian reserve. And essentially, it's one way to test your fertility. I would go get that done immediately because, again, it's still a lengthy process ahead of you. I think some people think the minute you apply, you're like popping out your eggs the next week. No, baby, you got a long road ahead. So I would complete these tasks pretty quickly. So you get your AMH back. Let's say it's great. They choose to move forward with you. You probably will complete the rest of your profile. It's stuff like if you say you had a master's degree, you have to prove it and give, like, I guess your diploma or whatever. You have to go through all of your family history, all of your medical history. You have to answer a lot of in-depth questions so that the family can really get to know you because they want to connect with you as a person. That can sometimes take a few hours to get all that information together and ready. But again, in your best interest to get it done relatively quickly because then from there you'll be uploaded on the site and then you have to wait to be chosen. This can be anywhere from 1 day to 6 months. It just depends on so many different factors. Obviously, there's some scenarios where you don't even get chosen for a year. If you're a more highly sought after candidate, I hate to say something like that, but like the reality is certain, let's say, traits are in more demand just based on which families are looking for which things, you're going to be more or less likely to be chosen quickly and what your price point is. Okay, let's say you're matched with a family. Next thing's next. They are going to have you do a psychological evaluation to make sure you're not a crazy person. Then I can't remember what this evaluation is called, but it's basically where they go through every single family member humanly possible that you have and run through any diseases, cancers, anything genetic that could be passed on. And by the way, there's no need to lie. Every single family has stuff that they pass on. It's really important to be honest because these people are going to be having children that are likely to be carrying these different things. Then, based on where the family you matched with is going to do the cycle, like which clinic they're going to be using. And that depends on so many things. They might go with a clinic that is just one of the top clinics in the United States and is not even anywhere near them. For example, the last family I went with, they don't even live in this country. They just went with the top fertility clinic in the entire United States. So the family is nowhere near that clinic. That's the clinic they chose, and it was in San Diego. So, depending on where the family chooses, that is where you will be flown out to for this initial first appointment. So, this is the first time you will be flown out of the 2 times you will be flown out for this one specific cycle. So, you'll be flown out to this appointment. I would say this would happen anywhere from like 2 to 3 months into the process, along with those other factors. Sorry, I just forgot. You could probably be flown out within the first month actually of being matched. So you will be flown out to this fertility clinic of their choosing. You can either stay overnight in that city or you can just fly in and fly out. I have done both. When I had to fly for my initial appointment in New York City, I flew in and flew out. So I flew in at like 5 a.m. and I flew out that evening. It was actually so iconic because it was like snowing and it was so gorgeous. It was a really fun day, even though it was like kind of a crazy day to fly out that early and leave late at night. So you fly in, they will do a physical evaluation. So I don't really know if this is why, but like, for example, they do give you like a breast exam to make sure like God forbid there's some sort of cancer forming that's not going to like pop up on some of these other tests they're running. It's just sort of a full comprehensive examination. The doctor also went through all of my medical history and everything I stated just to double check it. Then they did a sonogram, so that's where they put the thing inside of you to see how many follicles you have. And I remember being so excited. They were like, yep, you're super healthy, lots of follicles. I was like, oh my God, because this was my first time ever learning about my fertility. And keep in mind, all of this is completely paid for. So, like, even if the process doesn't work out, at least you found out what your fertility situation is. So, I believe all of that appointment can take anywhere from like 2 to 3 hours. They're also going to do blood tests, and in that appointment, you will do a genetic evaluation, genetic something to basically see what you're a genetic carrier for. Don't freak out. Everybody is a carrier for 1 to 5 things is completely normal. Those results take, I think, 3 weeks to like a month is kind of what they say to get back. And then from there, that's really important because then all those results, number one, make sure like you're healthy and in a good position to donate. But then also, it lets the family know and make sure like y'all aren't both carriers for the same things, which would make it a no go, in which case you can't donate for that specific family, but it's fine because you'll have all that information, which will make it easier and you could be matched with another family. It's highly, highly unlikely though, so don't even stress about that. In fact, one family and I, they were basically coming up as inconclusive for the same thing I'm a carrier for, and they still decided to move forward, which is kind of crazy because that means that there was about 25% of the embryos that would likely not be viable. But they were like, nope, this is our donor. We're going forward with it, which obviously is like such an honor and makes me so happy. So don't worry about that part. Then from there, they fly you back home. Again, everything's covered with that flight and that whole trip. I went and did some other things in New York City. Like, you can go have the time of your life in that city if you want to. It's just unfortunately, you never know what city you're going to be in. It could be like Boston or Philadelphia or some random city that maybe to you is less desirable than like New York City. You fly back home. You'll probably get the information on that about a month later. And then from there, let's say everything goes well, you will then go into legal. That can take anywhere from like 2 weeks to a month. This is where you will negotiate different things like what you want to have happen to the extra eggs. Sorry, not eggs, the extra embryos. Do you want them to be donated to science? Do you want the family to gift them to another family member? What do you want done with them? And you do have a legal say in that. Also, this is the time where you can negotiate other things and other expenses covered. For example, I have always negotiated that I would like them to take care of my pet expenses because that's another expense. Like, God forbid, one of my cycles, I was there for an entire 10 nights. That's a lot to spend on pet care. So I negotiated that they would pay for all of my pet care, and every single cycle, every single family has agreed. Last cycle, I also negotiated that I wanted them to cover my rental car. That's really only worth it if you're in a city that's more spread out. I would definitely not recommend doing that in a city like New York City. That would make no sense. Legal can go back and forth because you are kind of negotiating and talking about different things. So that can take a minute. But then once that's done, usually the clinic and everyone is ready to go. Then sometimes, depending, they will put you on birth control. It depends on if you were already on birth control. I'm not on birth control. So what usually happens is they'll put me on birth control from anywhere from 10 days to 2 weeks. Then once that's up, there's a few days in between that, and then you start injections. Sorry, usually you do birth control, then you go in for a doctor's appointment, which is going to be near you, in a city near you, and you're going to do your monitoring appointments for about the first week in that city near you. This is where the process starts speeding up a lot. The second you get off birth control, everything is a lot. And you need to be keeping up with stuff because you're going to have a lot of doctor's appointments. You're going to have your meds shipped to you. You definitely want to make sure that you are refrigerating those properly. You're going to have a lot of different appointments. This is go time, baby. So you will start the injections maybe a few days after they take you off of that initial round of the birth control. They put you on that round of birth control if you aren't already on it as a way to sort of time everything and schedule everything because again, it's a lot of doctor's appointments. It's a lot of things to line up, and then they're going to ultimately line up for you to be flown back to that original clinic that you did that first initial appointment at. But for about the first week of injections, you are going to be in your own city at a monitoring clinic of either the clinic's choosing, the agency's choosing, or you're choosing.